Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV. I'm Jeff Gorham, and we are now in week 4, believe it or not, in high school football. We're in week 3 of college football with RCC, and I'll tell you what, it has been fantastic thus far. And it's only fantastic because of this one guy, my co-host, my play-by-play man, my best friend in the whole world. He is Ghazal Hassan. How you doing today, Ghazal?
Jeff, I'm doing great. I think we're seeing too much of each other. We're doing the RCC, we're doing the high school. I'm at your house. I'm hanging with your kids. That may be a little unhealthy, but you know what? So is eating ice cream every day, and I would still do that.
Well, Ghazal, I'll tell you what. How much fun how great have the games been on Riverside TV thus far?
We've been very lucky this year, Jeff. We've had a lot of very good games. Every game has still been competitive into the fourth quarter, and that's all really we can ask for. You know, when we get on the field before the games, we'll joke with the coaches, and we'll say, guys, keep it close for a half, and then do whatever you want in the second half, because obviously, you know, the viewer interest is bigger on a closer game. But yeah, I think it's the matchups that they've chosen. They're competitive games between Riverside teams. We had another one last week. It was at Donnybrook, and it was a good one between Poly and Ramona.
Well, before we get into those games and this upcoming week's games, let's talk about that Saturday afternoon affair between El Camino and RCC. Man, give us your opinion of this RCC team.
Well, you were there, Jeff. You saw what was going on, and it's early in the season, so you don't want to get too crazy about it. But the last 2 weeks, 40-15 against Golden West, 45-6 against El Camino, they've really put the beat down on a couple of teams you're going to see that are going to be pretty good. El Camino probably should compete for the top spot in their league. Golden West, the same. You could see both these teams again in the playoffs. I know it sounds funny, you thumped them 40-15 and 45-6, but these are very good quality opponents, and I think that maybe tells us more about RCC in terms of how good they could potentially be, even though Tom Kraft seemed to think this team may still have some growing to do, and maybe they do, but they're growing up pretty fast, and they're growing up into a pretty good team.
Well, you and I have been covering them for a few years now, and we've seen more talented players skill-wise at times, but the depth of this team is incredible.
Yeah.
11 different players caught passes last week against El Camino. 5 different players scored, a gritty quarterback, a great defense led by Coach Cook. I mean, it seems like it's a pretty stacked, and I want to say they're very, very – they just seem very focused this year, if that makes sense.
When I read the stuff on RCC before the season, okay, it was, well, there are a lot of new guys, right? And I don't think that meant there wasn't the level of talent that Tom Kraft always seems to bring in. That just meant we hadn't seen them play, okay? We hadn't seen Jordan Barton play before this year. We did see Bryce Strong. So on the offense, they're very balanced. They have an entirely new offensive line who has played really well, at least the 2 weeks that we've watched them. So that's a good combination, the execution. And in addition, Barton's numbers are video game-like, but I think we both observed in terms of his leadership, he really is taking control of his team. He is the leader on there. He's the leader down there on the sideline. He's the leader in the huddle. And then you talked about the defense. And since we've been covering RCC, the defense, we always talk about, James Cook does a great job, underrated. I don't think he's underrated anymore. I think the other teams all know how good the defense is, and they just plug some talented guys in. They lost so much talent last year, but now they have a bunch of talented cats this year as well on that defense, and they really went out. El Camino is a very good offensive team, although they were working with 2 kind of new freshman quarterbacks, but the Tigers handled them. That was, 6 points. They come off a win on the road at Palomar where they scored 35 points. The Tigers will be at Palomar on Saturday. So that in and of itself was impressive in terms of the performance of Coach Cook and his defense and some of those new parts they plugged in.
Well, we're going to have 3 more games. Hopefully we can convince Scott Brocious, our director, to go down the road at Mount San Jacinto, which is near my house in Menifee. But before we let you go, let's talk about this Friday night matchup, Martin Luther King versus John W. North. Both teams, I mean, are pretty athletic, good teams. They've played a gauntlet of a schedule. Let's start with Martin Luther King first, who's 2-2. What are your thoughts on them so far?
Well, I mean, King heads into the gauntlet, right? I mean, the Big West, upper, lower, that's one of the best public school leagues in the state, in the area, whatever you want to say. And we talked about it a couple weeks ago when they played Poly. This is the time of year where you're building your identity as a team. And I think they're kind of building their identity off, running the football, playing defense. And when there's a big spot, they go to Sam Green. So they're kind of growing and learning, and they'll really need to grow. Let me tell you something. I've always liked how Coach McMains runs his offense, and I have a feeling they will pick up a win. When they get to league, they'll win a game, maybe two. They'll definitely win one game they're not supposed to. So I look forward to them. They had a nice run last year. They had a playoff win last year, first one since 2016. And I wouldn't be shocked if they could go in, get in the playoffs, depending on what division they get assigned to, and make a little bit of a run. But again, this is going to be an important one for them against J-Dub.
And talking about J-Dub, JW North, OP Vaiapulu, 1-3 right now starting the season, but they've played brutal schedule. Yeah. And they've played some close games. They haven't scored the last 3 games very much. The first game they were on fire. Quarterback was playing great against Ramona, that first game of the year. But they have kind of stalled a little bit on offense.
I think that says more about the competition they're playing. Now, obviously, if you talk to Coach Vaipulu, he'll tell you, okay, we got things we need to iron out, which is, every coach is going to tell you that, whether they're 0-5 or 5-0 right now. But we'll find out. They have played, they went to Beaumont, and Beaumont is a really tough club. What have they learned in these last 3 games? Now they're heading towards league play. What have they learned? What are they going to learn? And King will be a good test for them. We'll learn a lot about the Huskies by how they take on King. They're at home. It's an intracity rivalry. I expect there'll be a big crowd there. It'll be very loud, very boisterous there at 3rd in Chicago. So I'm looking forward to this one on Friday. I always love going back to JW North. The Huskies always do it up right. Got to shout out my guy Ahmed, the class of '88, John W. North. He played football there as well. Loves his Huskies. And Riverside kid, obviously. And again, identity. This is an identity game for the Huskies as well. Let's get the win against King and then move into league and go from there.
Well, we will be hitting the halfway point Friday night, as we just mentioned, King versus North. Ghazal Hassan will be on the call with myself. Pep Fernandez should maybe be on the sidelines, depending on whether or not the pep rally starts on time or not. But we always have a great time covering these games on Riverside TV. Thank you, Ghazal, for joining us today.
The City of Riverside Public Works Department provides high-quality trash and recycling services for our customers. Convenient curbside trash collection services promote a clean and healthy Riverside. To help us provide you with top-quality service, we ask you to follow a few key rules. When placing your trash containers for pickup, please observe the following. Place each container with at least 3 feet separation from each other and at least 6 feet from obstructions such as parked cars, fire hydrants, mailboxes, and trees. Your bin should be placed at the curb no later than 5:30 a.m. on your collection day with the arrow on the lid pointed toward the street to ensure your bins get emptied. If you are experiencing issues with your trash collection, or perhaps need a replacement for a damaged trash bin, please contact our customer service call center by using the 311 app or website, or by dialing 951-826-5311 to reach one of our customer service representatives. And for more information about trash services, recycling, or bulky items, visit the Public Works website at riversideca.gov/publicworks.
And welcome back to the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV, as we are now joined by the head coach of the John W. North Huskies. He's the great OP Vaiapulu. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm good, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Well, hey, I'll tell you what, OP, you're just about halfway through the season. You guys have played a gauntlet of a schedule. How are you feeling after these 4 games?
We like to feel a lot better. We had some injuries that kind of hit us, but we're feeling good. The week off definitely helped. Get some of those injuries squared away, and then really just kind of reflect. I know it's not the halfway point, but 4 games in, kind of reflect and reevaluate, kind of trying to figure out ways to be more efficient moving forward with our team. So we're excited again to play this week.
Now, you guys are playing another Riverside team this week. You're playing Martin Luther King High School. Jason McMains, they've started off pretty good. They're 2-2. What are your thoughts on the Wolves?
They played, obviously, the other Riverside teams, which is something we want to do with Pauley next year. But they played the other 2 losses they've had against quality opponents. We played one of them, Roosevelt, and then they played the Miranda Valley team, who's a great team out there in the Big 8 or Big West. So we definitely got our work cut off for us. And then this the Riverside game is going to be big time. So just got to make sure we're ready to go. This is going to be a great atmosphere, and get ready to try to beat them.
Now, this is really the first time in a long time that we've seen so many Riverside teams, the powerhouse schools, play each other in preseason. Do you like doing that, Coach?
Yeah, definitely. Especially in our league, we got to travel down to 215 or somewhere every week, and then in our non-league, and years before, we had to schedule Long Beach teams, going out to Montebello or whatever. When it's easier just to play down the street, guaranteed that the stands are going to be packed. That's going to be a good game, and then you just coach against people and the players that you play against players they know.
Well, Coach, so far this season, you guys started out like gangbusters. You beat Ramona. You put up 45. The last couple weeks, due to injuries, obviously, you guys just haven't scored the football. Is that because you've had so many injuries on the offensive side?
Obviously, our O-line is very young. We knew that going in. We were replacing 4 out of 5, and it was kind of how much they progress over these few weeks was going to really dictate our offense. But like I told you earlier, our running back went down for a game. Our quarterback was out for 3 quarters. Our number 1 receiver hasn't played a down yet, and our second receiver went down for a couple games. But like we always say here, is like next man up, doesn't matter. But obviously we like to have them back. Hopefully we get a couple guys back this week. But yeah, it's been a learning experience for a lot of guys that are playing. First varsity step plays, but I think we're a good place going now. Hopefully we get a good game against King, and then moving over for play against Orange Vista right off the bat for league.
Ooh, that's a tough one, Coach. But, hey, I want to talk a little bit about your quarterback, Cameron Payne. He was the CIF Southern Section Player of the Week for that week 0. But he's a very dynamic player. Can you tell us about his work ethic and what kind of kid he's like?
Yeah, Cameron Shannon, yeah.
Yeah, Cameron Shannon, my fault.
Yeah, well, he's a great kid off the field. Great family, great grades. Most of he's got some offers, and they're all from Ivy League schools like Columbia and Cornell, and he's just a great overall athlete, man. And kind of like last year, our offense kind of goes where he goes. So if he's playing great, our offense opens up. If he's struggling, then we're kind of struggling. But I think this year, again, he's missing some of his boys out there. I alluded to earlier, a couple weeks ago, we first talked about, some guys went down, and I know he's missing them, but he knows he's got to, put the team on his back until they get back and help the young O-line kind of grow up.
Well, talking about that young O-line, who's really surprised you of those guys? Who's really stepped up that you didn't anticipate would be so good so early?
One kid, I think most of them are Mikey Serrano's the only guy that's back. I think they all kind of have showed their pains, but show their growth as well. One kid I want to talk about is Elijah Felton. He's our JV center last year. Moved him to guard this year, and he's pretty. He's been productive for sure. Been physical, which is what we want to be up front. Physical. But I think overall, just they got to get their plays underneath their belt, man. Get more plays, get more reps, and be more comfortable.
Well, Coach, before I let you go, I know family means a lot to you. I know you've had family out visiting you. I've noticed on social media. How important is family to the John W. North program? Because, I'm a Riverside guy, a lot of friends on the east side, and I know it's always been a close-knit bond with the Huskies at North.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm a Pauley graduate, so I'm on the opposite side growing up. That was an arch rival, and I had a lot of family that went to North, and a lot of my friends went to North. So I knew, I seen that. And then coaching with Coach Brown, Coach Brady, Coach Brunig, some of those guys that were here, the tradition and getting here and seeing Coach Martin, how they go about their ways out here, man. The way the standard of excellence is being held, and the way they welcome alumni back, and the way the alumni in the neighborhood really supports the programs here has been awesome. So just being a part of it and trying to hopefully, hold that standard here while I'm here has been great. And just like when I brought it with Coach Brown, really brought Dennis, is that family atmosphere. We care about each other. You want to not let anybody down. You want to not let the school down and the east side down.
Well, Coach, I'm going to let you go. I know you're in the middle of practice, but thank you for your time. And I love everything you do for your student athletes. Every time I go over to North, it's a gracious place. Everybody is so kind. And looking forward to seeing you Friday night versus Martin Luther King.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Well, he is the great O.P. Vaiapulu, and we will see him Friday night, 7 p.m. here on the Riverside TV Game of the Week. We'll be right back.
The Riverside Libraries have new hours and are now open on Sundays. Now you'll have more time to explore, study, and learn about the things that matter to you the most. The new hours for Arlington, Arlanza, Marcy, La Sierra, Orange Terrace, Eastside, and Casablanca libraries are Tuesday to Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., while the Downtown Main Library is open Tuesday to Thursday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Friday to Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. To find out more information about the new hours along with events and programs at the library nearest to you, visit riversideca.gov/library.
And welcome back to the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV, as we are now joined by everyone's favorite coach, Coach Keith Adams of California School for the Deaf Riverside, the defending state champion. How you doing today, Coach?
Oh, I'm doing great right here. I just flew in from D.C., and they were playing against Maryland School for the Deaf, and I'm back. I'm here for the competition. Team is great. Of course, they won, we lost, and, we are back this Saturday working for the game.
Well, Coach, looking forward to watching you guys play for the first time this season. What's this last year been like for you? I mean, you guys went and won a state championship. They're making movies about you. Your son is playing college football. I mean, it's just been a whirlwind of fun and success. How have you handled it?
Yes, this year, compared to last year with this team, we did lose some champions here, but, we've got some young scouts. They got experience, and we're ready to improve our athletes to get this new year on board.
Well, Coach, first of all, how's your son doing playing at Gallaudet University?
Yes, he's playing as a quarterback and, making the runs and, playing with his team, and I'm quite impressed with Travis's performance.
Well, let's talk about this year's team. You guys have struggled a little bit this year. You said you're young, but you still have the closet is still full of clothes, great clothing. Tell us a little bit about some of your guys.
Yes. Really, there's some injuries that happen. We've got a broken leg on the team, a broken arm, and torn ACL, and, we have one player that's also going through things. So we've got a full active team. We've got a healthy team. We're running through. We're playing these actions forward.
Now, what can you tell me about this California School for the Deaf Fremont team? Are they pretty formidable this year?
Quite, absolutely. They haven't lost a game. So how are we going to perform this Saturday? That's going to be a thing.
Now, another question I have is, you guys travel a lot. How does this get funded? Is it funded through the state, or is this fundraising? But whatever it is, you guys are traveling across the globe, basically, playing everywhere. How does that happen?
we've got the club that helps fundraise us as well. We've got plenty of sponsors that make these flights. We go to Maryland and we touch base with Gallaudets, and many of our students have never been to Gallaudet, so this is a quite enjoyable time to just fly in and play a game.
Well, Coach, I know you do so much on campus at CSDR. Now, can you tell us some of the other athletes that you have? Give us some names. We want to hear, guys, when we cover you on Saturday night.
Well, you got to look at Kevin Adams. We've got also Gio on board with us, and Gio Vasco. Then we have Xavier. You know, these are the guys that you want to look out for when you see them on the field.
Well, Coach, I know they're making a movie about you guys. Is it going to be on Disney for one? And who is going to play you, Coach?
I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Well, if you had your choice of anybody to play Keith Adams in Hollywood, who would you, or I should say, who would your wife want you to be? Who would your wife want the actor to play Keith Adams?
There's so many things we joke about who would, choose. I mean, it's hard to say.
Well, I called a few of your games, so they better have me, and I figured I'd put a call into Brad Pitt to see if he can work a couple of extras.
Or we could do The Rock.
Oh.
The Rock, we could do him, Mr. Johnson.
Hey, anytime you can play The Rock, you have the nice head. You're perfect. We'll get the Dwayne The Rock Johnson to portray the great Keith Adams.
Absolutely.
Well, Coach, it is always a pleasure to see you. You've become quite a friend. You and I text each other quite a bit during the season, and I can't wait to see you guys play this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Riverside TV. I will be on the call and can't wait to catch up with you, your family, and everybody over at California School for the Deaf Riverside.
All right. Look forward to watching you as well.
Well, he is the great Keith Adams, the head coach of California School for the Deaf Riverside. We will have them at 3 p.m. versus California School for the Deaf Fremont. Thanks, Coach, for everything you do. Looking forward to seeing you Saturday.
The City of Riverside Public Works Department wants you to know how holidays affect your trash service. Trash pickup will not be available during major holidays and collection times will be adjusted in response. Residents with city trash service will see the following adjustments. For Monday holidays, your Monday collection will happen on Tuesday and Tuesday collections will occur on Wednesdays. For Thursday holidays, Thursday service will occur on Friday and Friday service on Saturday. For Friday holidays, your Friday service will occur on Saturday. Residents served by outside vendors will experience a one-day delay of service for each day after any holiday taking place Monday through Friday. And for more information about trash services, recycling, or bulky items, visit the Public Works website at riversideca.gov/publicworks.
And welcome back to the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV, as we're joined by our friend that we have every single week, my co-host for the Friday Night Pep Rally. He is Pep Fernandez. Pep, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, Jeff. I'm getting ready for the final week of non-league play in high school football, so I'm fired up about that. And glad to be on the number one show on TV, The Coach's Perspective.
The number one show it is. And where are you? Are you in your studio?
We're getting ready to film the Inland Sports Show a little bit early this week. So we're going to talk some high school football, high school volleyball. We're going to talk some RCC football as well, because we just did the game on Saturday. It was a huge win for the Tigers, man. They just thumped El Camino. So we got a big show coming up. But, yeah, we're just prepping and getting ready for the other big show in the Inland Empire.
Well, Pep, this week is kind of going to be a slower week, right? Because a lot of teams are in bye weeks.
Yeah, so I kind of call this the diet version, right? So if you played a game in week 0, there's a good chance that you are not playing this week in week number 5. So a lot of teams strategically set up their schedule so they can take a bye this week, right before league play starts, to get healthy, prepare an extra week for their first league opponent. So they do it on purpose to take their bye into this week. But other coaches, they have their own strategy where they like to play straight, 10 straight weeks through the season. So they do not play in week 0, and they play 10 straight weeks through the regular season into the playoffs. So I would say it's about half and half. We still got a lot of games this week, but there's going to be a lot of teams that you will see not in action this coming week, in week number 5, technically.
Well, obviously, we have 2 games this week. We have a Saturday afternoon thriller as California School for the Deaf Riverside is going to play California School for the Deaf Fremont. And then Friday night, we have John W. North versus Martin Luther King. We already talked about those games. Let's talk a little bit about the teams that have surprised you so much, the teams that have surprised you the most in this first half, especially in Riverside.
Yeah, Jeff, for me, it's easy, and I think we could probably agree on this, is the Ramona Rams, because they just sad, and we've talked about this over and over. I feel like a broken record at this point, but they lost so many good seniors from last season, but yet the Rams are still good. Coach Mashinsky does a heck of a job with that program. There was no real big dip at Ram High. I mean, these guys can play. These guys can compete. They've got enough great players, and Jeremiah Costa has really stepped into that starting quarterback role. And so I'm really impressed by Ramona. And the other team that, Jeff, kind of surprised me is Arlington. Arlington is off to a 3-2 start. I got to see them this last week against Bell Gardens, where they tossed a shutout. They were great on the ground. The defense tossed a shutout. I'm really impressed by Arlington. And again, if you can survive and make it through league play in the top 3 in the River Valley League, then you're going to have a chance to probably go deep in the playoffs.
Everybody thought Ramona, like you said, was going to be a little down this year, losing, like you said, 27 players, 18 starters. But Patriots been playing pretty well as of late. Hillcrest has been up and down. They're going to get their Sandoval should be back about the third game of league play. How do you see the River Valley League setting up, besides Norte Vista, who's the perennial favorite?
Listen, this is coach talk, where you just focus on the team in front of you. So I'm only focused on week 5, this coming week. But I will say this, Jeff. I took a peek at the following week, week number 6, which would be the first week of league play for all of our local teams, including the River Valley League, and Patriot will play Ramona in that first River Valley League game of the year. And I think every single game in the RVL is going to be important. I don't know if we have a 5-way tie for first place like we did about 5 or 6 years ago, but I think every game is going to be important. And that's a big game. Patriot has had some good wins in non-league play, so I think they're going to be a force as well. We've talked about Norte Vista being the favorite to win the River Valley League Championship, but I think that fight to finish in the top 3 in the league standings is going to be so much fun. And it starts right out the gate in week 6 with Patriot and Ramona coming up.
Now, here's another big question I have concerning, the city teams. You have Riverside Poly, who's been playing pretty darn well. The record doesn't always say, but defensively, Jerron Gilbert has them playing pretty hard, doesn't he?
He does. And you know what, Jeff? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel here when I say if you can play defense and you can run the football, you're going to have a chance to win some football games. And their league in the Rain Cross Conference, they should be competitive. There's winnable games in that league. So, it's always kind of hard to say. Maybe a team from Riverside, like Arlington did a couple of years ago, can get on a Cinderella run. That could be Poly this year. That could be Arlington again. That could be Ramona. I mean, that's what makes it so much fun as we go into league play. But I think Poly's set up to have a chance to win some games in league.
Now, let's kind of wrap this up, because I know you're in a hurry. You got to film the Inland Sports Show. But what's going on Friday night? What are we going to have on the docket?
Man, of course we got King and North, right? That's a big one. Riverside rivalry game. That one's on Riverside TV. We'll have highlights of that one. But on the Friday night pep rally, There's some other big games going down in the IE. Vista Marietta is taking on Rancho Cucamonga. We're expecting highlights of Centennial taking on Liberty from Arizona, which is two of the top teams in the entire country. So even though it's a diet version of a normal week of high school football, there are still some really big non-league games to kind of get the juices flowing as we can really get into league play, which is right around the corner.
Well, Pep, I'm going to let you go, but we will see you Friday night here at the Friday Night Pep Rally, the second best show here on Riverside TV. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you Friday night.
The other best show, Jeff. I'll see you Friday night.
He's Pep Fernandez, and I'll tell you what, we've had 4 great weeks of high school football, and we're going to have more coming up Friday and Saturday here on Riverside TV. Once again, I'm Jeff Gorman, and for everybody here at the City of Riverside, thank you so much for tuning in to the Coach's Perspective. Good night, everybody.